Welcome to our presentation for surviving in Twinmotion. We're going to give you all the necessary gear in this session. We will equip you with the necessary tools to set up, navigate, build projects, and create effortless visuals. We'll also have a link here in the PDF presentation so that you can see the presentation with all the fun videos in it.
So a bit about us. My name is Allie. I'm from Technion, and I have traveled to 20 different countries. The furthest I've traveled is New Zealand, and I love camping.
And I am Sydney. I work for Price Modern. I've lived in 5 different states in the U.S. I've I've rock climbed in Colorado, and I've visited every continental United States. So just to give you kind of a heads up of the roadmap, we're going to walk you through getting your Twinmotion ready, getting your computer ready, getting CET ready, show you how to export to Twinmotion, get to know Twinmotion a little bit better, and then show you some quick renderings.
Now, do you have Twinmotion? There are a couple different ways to get Twinmotion. You can either get it through the Configura marketplace and buy the bundle, which will give you the Twinmotion software and the Twinmotion CET extension. So you can do a direct link from CET to Twinmotion. What you also need with Twinmotion is an Epic Games account. Or you can get the Twinmotion software directly from them. And as an option, you can go into the Configura marketplace and get the Twinmotion CET extension so you can do direct link. The other option is if you have an Autodesk license suite, you can also get the Twinmotion for Revit as well, and it'll all go together with the Twinmotion software. You can also get the Twinmotion CET extension as well, and you also need your Epic Games account.
So with creating those accounts, with Epic Games, you want to go to their website and create an account, and you can do that also straight through Twinmotion. The first thing that you want to do is adjust your settings. So if you go into Edit and under Preferences, it'll pull up all these different settings, and what you'll want to do is you'll want to set up a link to one folder on your drive or server. So this is something that everybody has access to, so that if anyone else you work with needs to open your Twinmotion, all of the direct links will be there. Then when you go through, you will add that location to all of these for your user library, Megascans, anything that you're putting into a Twinmotion drawing. So it'll link back whoever opens that file. The other big thing is turning on autosave. For some reason, this is not standard in Twinmotion. So there's a way to do that in your preferences as well. You can change it to 15 for every 15 minutes and have a certain number of saves, just like CET. And our pro tip here is that once you have this set up, it's set up forever. So every time that you have a new employee, make sure you walk through this process with them, or it can be a headache down the road for basically everyone.
Now, once you're ready, in your CT file, you'll get everything set up. So you can set up your building in there, all your furniture and everything like that. But something to keep aware of, if you use a CT walls, when it gets put into Twinmotion, what is going to happen is the ceiling and the floor do not fuse together, which means you're going to be left with gaps. So if you have, for instance, an environment that has snow, the snow is going to come inside, or rain, or you can just have daylight. You're going to have like these daylight white lights that come in on the bottom or on the top as well. So sometimes that we see that is best is put all your furniture and everything in to CET, direct link that to Twinmotion, but all those 3D files for the building, bring that in as an additional file into Twinmotion instead of building it in CET, if you can get away with it. So that means a SketchUp file on AutoCAD or Revit, anything like that, put directly into Twinmotion instead.
So from exporting, we'll go through exporting from CET. So there's a couple different ways depending on which package that you got. So if you have the Twinmotion Extension bundle, or if you have the CET Twinmotion Extension at all, you're going to use a direct link. So this is the fast and easy way to do it. However, if your company is not able to support that or fund that for everybody, there is another way. This is how I do it. You just export as an FBX. This is the same type of way that you would normally export a CAD file to send to an architect. You just change that drop down to say an FBX export. And then you can also do the same thing with like an IFC file as well. So Twinmotion is able to import these types of files and as well as SketchUp, like Ali said.
Now, when you're going to be importing any of these files, even with direct link, you're going to get a pop-up that is going to ask you, do you want to merge the hierarchy or not? Personally, I do not merge it. I leave it as is, and that allows me to have more control over the items in my Twinmotion file. However, by not merging it, it creates a bigger file. So depending on your computer, it may not be able to handle that high volume of a file. So you can merge it. Just be aware that you're not going to have as much control, meaning some of your like layers that you would see, it's not going to be clear exactly what it is. And some of the items, for instance, if you have a sofa, all the cushions, the backing, the feet could be all fused together as one object instead of each separate item instead. And it's the same thing with the materials, that you'll see that they get fused together or not fused together. Keeping the hierarchy allows easier placement of materials upon different items. So like I said with the sofa, I can put the material directly to the cushion. However, if I merge it, it might be the whole object where the finishes get changed. Additionally, if you're using FBX, remember, do not move your materials file, because with FBX, it creates another folder just for your materials. If you move it, it will remove the link for your Twinmotion as well.
So now we're going to go through importing items into Twinmotion. Again, those are your SketchUp files, your Revit files, and if you're doing the FBX, that's adding in your FBX, or it'll have your direct link. These will show up here under your imports. To update them, you'll see that there's this little circle here, and you'll just click on that, and it'll import the data. And then you see that there's some beautiful slats here. This is also a screenshot of what that direct link will look like. So just that little refresh button, anytime you make a change to that external file, that's how you get it to update within your Twinmotion.
Now, to getting to know Twinmotion, we're going to go over the following: navigate, apply materials, create your own materials or video, and finding components. So first off, know your surroundings. So in Twinmotion, you're going to have this navigation bar up at the top. This is going to show you how to move. If you're a gamer, it's kind of like walking around. And you'll have your up, down to change elevation, and then 1 through 6 on your keyboard or in this drop down here will be to adjust your speed for how fast your camera is moving. For a pro tip, if you click the little gear wheel here, you can drop down and change it to move like CET, so that it will be similar mouse movements for panning, orbiting, things like that. Also, when you click on any object, depending on which 3 of these buttons that you're clicked on in the navigation bar, you're going to get a different XYZ axis to either, if you click on the center yellow, that's going to move you around. Depending on which one of these 3 that you click on, it will help you rotate, or you can scale it in one direction. For the scaling, if you click on the center little gray cube right here, that'll scale the whole thing uniformly. Otherwise, it's the 3 nodes on the end. Another tip, like a pro tip on this one, if you click the straight pieces, that'll help you move it in one singular direction so that it's not snapping all over the place. And a real pro tip is that if you're really far away or really zoomed in, if you click on, say, the starting ground and hit F, then it'll zoom your project all the way out. If you're trying to adjust, say, like a lamp and it's like kind of off in the distance, if you click on that lamp
and hit F, it'll zoom you right into it. So it's very helpful.
So knowing your surroundings. So within the drop-down button where you see the little eyeball, is the viewport. So within the first one, you can see that it's your speed. So instead of using the shortcuts of 1 through 6 on your keyboard, you can go through here. And the 1 through 6 gives you an idea of the speed. So you can go microscopically all the way to as fast as a plane. The other thing to note is what mode you want to be looking in. So you can either look in pedestrian mode as if you're walking, or drone mode as if you're hovering. And the other one to look at is little house. So if you want to see something in a little bit of a certain angle, you can hit the house and do the front, the side, the back, underneath, or straight on top as well. And a little pro tip is if you hit M on your keyboard, you can swap between pedestrian and drone mode easily.
So for utilizing materials, so materials that you have in your CET drawing will export to Twinmotion. However, sometimes they're not the greatest quality, or there's maybe something that you want to change. So within library materials, Twinmotion has a lot of great inherent textures and materials that you can use to change either the scale or the placement, the XYZ of where that material is laying out. And you're able to pick this from over here and apply it to that piece itself. A pro tip, if it's one that you really like, I always like to add things to my user library because it just helps. There's so many material options in there. It really helps you narrow down either the ones that you've edited or the ones that you use frequently.
Now, a little pro tip is how to do speed lighting. So once you have a fixture in your drawing, you can use a material to add it to the item and give it an emissive value. This will emanate a light. You can actually have it emit shadows or just make it look like it's emitting light. The other option is just like you would do in CET, you can use an omni light or area light.
So a little bit more on materials and how to add a video to something. So you're able to go in and actually create your own materials, similar to how you can in CET. You're able to edit all of the different details of what these look like, and just pull them in from from an image that you have saved. There's also this great website where you can find great textures, great materials that you can also download and use in Twinmotion. As a pro tip, up at this top bar here, there's this little button with 2 circles. So when a material comes into your CET, say that you have a certain wood grain on all your gallery panels and all your work surfaces. If you hit replacement, if you have it on replace material and you change that, it'll change all of that wood grain. So everything that's the same. Say that you just want to change the work surface, you would change it to apply to object, and that would leave your gallery panels, the wood grain, and just change your work surface. That's a big one that can really frustrate people. So make sure you remember that one.
The easy way to add a video in is within materials, there's a button called videos, and it's a default video. You take that video and you go and apply it to a screen. Now that has created essentially like a material. So within the 3 dots, just like you do with the materials, you can upload your own video into that slot and then adjust it. And then you'll see your video on the screen or TV, anywhere you have applied that material video finish.
So another thing that we recommend for quick, easy renderings is using some preset environments. The first is the white sweep. So right when you open Twinmotion 2024, there's a white studio template that's great for white sweep images. It has a car in there, but it works great for furniture as well. Something else that I tend to do is if I don't know exactly where the building is, first pro tip, use Google Earth to look around and see what the surroundings are from the street view. But I'll create starting environments. So this is an image of a starting environment that's more outdoorsy, woodsy, something that's not necessarily in the city. And I'll create this and I'll save it as a template file. And so if I'm doing a quick rendering, I'll just drop my building and my furniture into the space so that when you look out the windows, it looks like you spend a lot of time on the outdoors, but not really.
So ambience fundamentals. So this is where you get to play with the outside. So within ambience, the first thing you're going to see is the time of day. So how do you want the sun to react with your interiors or your exteriors? So you can change the type of time of day, and that will create different shadows. The next part is weather. Is it sunny? Is it cloudy? Is it snowing? Is there fog? You can play with all of that in there. And if you want to go in even more details, if it's snowing or raining, you can hit the precipitation tab and explore that even further. Under that, you have the HDR environments. And within that, just like you do in CET, you can change what the outside looks like. So instead of just being the typical blue sky, you can adjust it to what you want. And within Twinmotion, there are a lot already pre-installed, but you can also upload your own as well. So within the library, go to HDR environments and you can pick what you want. There's anything from skies to indoor to outdoor to studio lighting as well. And below that, you'll have the horizon. So if you just want something on the horizon line, just to give it a little bit more depth, you can just change the picture. And as well, it has some presets already in there, just like you do in CET.
So once we have that all set up, to setting up our media and exporting. So at the bottom, at the bar at the bottom, you'll see a tab that says media. You'll be able to choose from standard rendering video. This one we don't use as much. It's more of a staging thing that architects will use. But there's also panorama and then presentations. So with that, you just set up your screen at the shot that you want, just like CET, and hit this plus button here, and it'll create a new visual. There's also an option to do a 360, which was what we'll cover in this one. In our next one, we'll cover some of the other export options in the thriving presentation. To export the bar off to the side, you'll just select your images and or your panorama and hit Start Export. You can export all of them together at the same time. I like to rename mine in the same, there's a tab or like three button, the three dots that you can click on so you can rename your image. And we won't get into the cloud right in this presentation, but just a heads up that the cloud is only in use with the paid version of Twinmotion. Alternatively to the cloud, you can create a briefcase on my Configura and store renderings in 360s and share them with clients and keep them internally for future use.
So some resources that are really handy is for Twinmotion, they have on their website, they have a lot of tutorials on there. They have webinars. And even if you go on Google and you search for something, how to do this in Twinmotion, you're going to get a link to a link in Twinmotion as well. I'll bring you right to what you need to do. They also have a community page where people interact with each other and you can talk and ask questions on there as well. Within the community page and their LinkedIn, they do offer exercises. So the Friday exercises, people will post in the community page and on LinkedIn to show off. And Twinmotion could show off your rendering as well. You can click on these in the PDF version to see these pages live.
So we wanted to show you some of the final destinations of what we were able to produce with the information from what we've learned in this presentation. So here's our basic white sweep using that preset studio lighting. And then this is just a basic rendering, just pointing the camera and clicking export. This is of us moving through a basic 360 of just putting your person in a spot and hitting that 360 and then hitting export. So yeah, some of the options.
Now you can survive. How about thriving? You can click below on the QR codes to see all the different options that you can do within surviving, and a little sneak peek and what you can do in the thriving session. That's up next.
And you click scan these for your CEUs and the configure roadmap.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.